Imagine waking up next to someone and realizing the person beside you carries not only the present, but all the scars, choices, and pain of the past. You think you're building something new, but in reality, you're walking over old wounds and unfinished dreams. Every gesture, every silence, every look brings echoes of stories you didn't live, but now have to deal with. There is no starting from scratch when the past isn't resolved. It weighs on routine, conversations, even small habits. The price of ignoring that past can be your peace, your time, and even your identity. You think you're starting from scratch with her, but in reality, you're entering the final chapter of a book you've never read. With every smile, there's a paragraph left unexplained. Entire chapters that shaped who she is now. You wake up believing you're the protagonist, but maybe you're just a supporting character in a story full of twists. The weight of what came before shows up in the details. A song, a place, a name that changes her expression. Before you know it, you're not writing a new story. You're trying to decipher a past that insists on leaving its mark on the present. How many celebrity couples seemed perfect until old scandals resurfaced and destroyed everything? Think of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, both pasts dissected in front of the world. Celebrities often see relationships founder when unresolved stories return like public ghosts. It's easy to judge from the outside, but we all, to a lesser extent, have old pages that can become headlines in our own circles. In pop culture or real life, the past finds a way to show up, especially when we pretend it doesn't exist. Every man pays a price when he ignores a woman's past. Sometimes the cost is silent. Sleepless nights, gnawing doubts, small concessions that erode your identity. The past doesn't forgive those who choose not to see it. It returns sooner or later, charging interest. You can sweep a story under the rug, but you're only increasing your own emotional debt. The question is, how much of your peace, pride, and mental health are you willing to sacrifice? Today I'm going to show you why her past isn't just hers, and how it can cost your peace, your time, and even your mental health. You'll see in detail how old stories walk through the door with her and begin to live alongside you. Ignoring what happened before can be the biggest mistake of your life, no matter who tells you to only look at the present. So prepare your mind. The truth no one tells you may be exactly what you need to hear today. Before judging anyone, look within. Why do so many men ignore signs that seem obvious once everything goes wrong? Is it fear of facing the truth, the desire to believe in new beginnings, or a way to escape pain? The line between naivety and courage is thinner than it looks when feelings are at stake. Let's understand what leads men to close their eyes to the past, and what the price of that choice is. We live in a time where everyone repeats, "What matters is now." Leave the past behind. Don't be insecure. This social pressure makes you question whether you're overreacting, or if you should swallow doubts in the name of modernity. Men are taught to suppress discomfort, to pretend they don't care about what came before, so they don't look weak. The world's voice gets louder than your instincts, and going against it can feel isolating. But does ignoring what truly bothers you make you more evolved, or just more vulnerable? The culture of forgiveness has become a commandment. Movies, series, and books romanticize new beginnings as if they were simple. Hollywood sells the idea that everyone deserves a second chance, that love erases any mistake. Motivational cliches insist the past doesn't define anyone, encouraging you to ignore scars as if they carry no weight. Inspiring? Yes. But also misleading. Not every wound heals with hope and slogans. It's easy to believe looking forward is enough. The truth is more complex. You've probably heard a friend say he took a chance on a fresh start and ended up bitterly regretting it. It's common. He ignores signs, bets everything on the now, and gets consumed by growing doubts. Many realize too late that certain scars don't disappear with good intentions. Regret comes with self-doubt. Where did I go wrong? Why didn't I see it sooner? These accounts carry a warning. Ignoring the past is rarely cheap. Why do we want to believe the past doesn't matter? Maybe it's fear of complexity, accepting that everyone carries hard-to-heal wounds. Believing in an absolute new beginning is more comfortable than facing uncomfortable truths and personal limits. Sometimes we run from the responsibility of saying no, of admitting we aren't ready to carry certain burdens. Pretending the past doesn't exist feels easier than facing that. Without it, no one is truly whole. Hope is man's greatest vice. It's what makes many ignore clear signs, betting that this time will be different. We believe love, time, or dedication will erase deep scars, as if we could rewrite already lived stories. This addiction to hope feeds illusions and blocks clear sight of who's truly at your side. In the end, it's not just her past that weighs on you. It's your hope that you'll be the exception. But doesn't this optimism charge a fee? How many men dive in with eyes closed, thinking desire to make it work is enough? There's a silent cost to believing too much in the power of starting over while ignoring obvious signs. The past, no matter how hidden, surfaces, and sometimes destroys what you tried to build. Often, the bill arrives when it's too late to turn back. In psychology, there's a simple, brutal concept. People repeat patterns until old wounds heal. The mind unconsciously seeks to relive similar situations, trying to correct what wasn't resolved. Relationships, choices, even fights, repeat like cycles, not by chance, but from a need for healing. Until scars are faced head-on, they keep guiding new relationships. The past isn't just a memory, it's a silent script shaping the present until someone breaks the cycle. Carl Jung said, "What we do not face in the unconscious returns as destiny." Traumas, fears, unresolved loves repeat in our lives even when we try to avoid them. Ignoring old wounds doesn't make them vanish, they seep into every new choice. An unresolved past acts like a shadow, steering decisions and attracting different situations that are the same underneath. Until we face what's hidden, we relive the same cycles expecting different results. Think of a woman who just left an abusive relationship. Determined to live something different, she may still, unconsciously, choose controlling partners. Unresolved trauma repeats patterns, as if trying to rewrite the ending to the same story. The new beginning often hides the continuation of an old script. Those who enter without seeing these marks become, unintentionally, another chapter in that cycle. Entering a new relationship is embarking on a journey, and no one arrives empty-handed. She carries invisible suitcases, memories, wounds, beliefs accumulated across a lifetime. Sometimes you notice the weight only when you try to move forward and feel pulled back. These signs may be small at first, but one conflict brings everything to light. Ignoring someone's emotional baggage is pretending a full suitcase doesn't exist. Sooner or later, it takes up space between you. What, in fact, is coming with her into your life? Can you see beyond the smile and the pretty stories? How many fears, expectations, and traumas are you embracing without realizing it? It's easy to fall for the surface. It's hard to deal with what lives between the lines of her past. Are you prepared to carry not only the present, but also pains and scars that aren't yours? And it's not just about old relationships. The past goes beyond exes. It includes family, friendships, childhood traumas, everything that shaped her worldview. Every reference, every memory, and even absences weigh on how she connects with you. The invisible often determines more than what's said openly. When you accept someone, you receive an entire universe, not always visible, always present. Family is the first school of values and beliefs, and where deep scars are often born. Childhood and adolescence leave marks that shape how she sees the world, love, and herself. Absent parents, constant arguments, excessive demands, or lack of affection don't disappear. These experiences set expectations, limits, and insecurities she brings to a relationship. You're dealing not just with today's woman, but with the history that brought her here. Consider a woman raised where fights were routine, or affection came only with performance and obedience. Some never saw true affection at home, and learned love equals instability or demands. Others grew up invisible, and now seek validation at any cost. Chaos leaves subtle marks: distrust, difficulty receiving affection, fear of abandonment. In relationships, all this shows up, even silently, shaping choices, reactions, and expectations. Past experiences silently define what she expects from a man, sometimes more than her words do. If she learned distrust, she may tolerate jealousy or test boundaries. Those who never received real care may settle for little. Others demand too much out of fear of being abandoned. These marks determine what she endures, what she challenges, and what she provokes. Often it's not about you. It's about the reflection of what she lived. Research in psychology shows family patterns often repeat in adult relationships, almost like invisible programming. People from chaotic environments are more likely to choose partners who reproduce the same dynamics, even unknowingly. Work summarized by the American Psychological Association notes that many adults reenact learned behaviors at home, consciously and unconsciously. These repetitions appear in choices and in automatic reactions to conflict or affection. Understanding them is essential to break destructive cycles and build healthy relationships. The more you pretend these emotional legacies don't exist, the more they infiltrate daily life. Ignoring family traumas, beliefs, or patterns doesn't erase them. It amplifies their impact. Over time, what seemed like a detail starts dictating choices and reactions. You feel the relationship getting heavier without knowing why. What you don't face becomes your problem, not just hers. Some signs are almost universal, yet many men ignore them. Difficulty trusting, senseless jealousy, dramas that repeat for no reason. Lack of trust shows up as persistent questions, suspicion, inability to relax with you. Exaggerated jealousy often isn't about the present. It echoes old fears. Recurring dramas and fights over small things, emotional outbursts, signal open wounds. When these patterns appear, they're not random. They're warnings the past is still dictating the present. In many cases, she may begin to act in self-sabotaging ways without realizing it. Start fights for nothing, create obstacles, hinder her own well-being. These are unconscious tests to see how far you'll go, whether you'll leave like others did. Self-sabotage can look like sudden withdrawal, unjustified rejection, or ill-timed demands, all to validate old beliefs. These tests aren't planned. They reflect deep insecurity and fear of abandonment. Recognizing them is crucial. Ignoring them turns you into another character in a never-ending cycle. Frequent talk about exes, constant references to past relationships, veiled comparisons, signs the past isn't resolved. Suspicious conversations, hidden messages. The feeling something is always omitted also point to unfinished business. You may notice repeating patterns, fights over the same themes, sudden breakups, overreactions to small issues. These behaviors show she's stuck in old stories, even if she won't admit it. Ignoring such signs out of convenience or fear only increases the risk of emotional exhaustion. Why do so many men choose not to see the obvious? It's more comfortable to believe things will sort themselves out than to have hard conversations. There's fear of seeming insecure, of being judged weak or possessive by friends and even your partner. The illusion of control, believing that ignoring the problem makes it disappear, only postpones bigger pain. Denying what bothers you protects the ego for a moment. Reality charges full price later. What happens when you choose the comfort of ignorance? For a while, life seems lighter, fewer conflicts, a false sense of control. But what's ignored grows in silence, becoming harder to solve. Eventually, everything swept under the rug comes back with a vengeance. Initial comfort turns into anguish, exhaustion, and regret. Pretending never solves anything. It starts with small concessions. You give in here and there to keep the peace. At first it looks like kindness, but soon you're losing sleep and questioning your own worth. These small renunciations accumulate until you no longer recognize yourself. The price of ignoring boundaries is high. Your energy, your peace, your self-esteem. Pleasing others at the cost of yourself is never worth it. You may have seen, or lived, the emotional nanny dynamic. You shelve your desires to resolve every crisis, soothe every insecurity. Over time, self-respect erodes. Everything revolves around the other person. Your space disappears. The man in this role loses admiration, hers and his own, feeling empty and frustrated. This corrodes a relationship from the inside out, leaving guilt, resentment, and loss. Entering a relationship without knowing the past is like buying a beautiful house without checking the foundation. Outside, everything looks perfect. Charm, beauty, promises. But cracks appear over time. revealing something was wrong from the start. A rotten foundation isn't immediately visible, but it compromises the entire structure. Ignore the foundation, and you'll watch everything collapse when you least expect it. Little by little, you feel your life force drained, as if each drama steals more of your will to live. Worries about her problems occupy your mind even when you're alone. You're always tired, without enthusiasm for your projects, friendships, or hobbies. This wear and tear seems normal, but it undermines confidence and decisive action. When you finally notice, you're exhausted and barely remember life without that weight. Love does not save those who do not want to be saved. No matter how much you strive, change starts from within. It's easy to believe dedication and affection can heal deep wounds. Reality is harsher. You can offer support, not take responsibility for rescuing another. Knowing this limit is painful and liberating. But there is a way out, and it doesn't require more blind sacrifice. It starts with brutal lucidity, the courage to look at reality without filters. Seeing the truth hurts, but it's the first step to regain your peace, energy, and sense of self. Clarity empowers you to set boundaries, question patterns, break cycles. Real transformation begins in that uncomfortable honesty. Why do so many men believe they can heal a woman's past? The redemption fantasy springs from the desire to be unique, to achieve what no one else could. This flatters the ego and creates an impossible mission, as if your presence could rewrite chapters that aren't yours. Clinging to saviorhood is easier than admitting powerlessness before traumas you didn't cause. The result is frustration, guilt, and a weight no one can carry alone. Savior syndrome is insidious. Many confuse care with a rescue mission. They think solving her problems will make them indispensable. Ultimately, this impulse speaks more to ego than compassion, validation through another's suffering. That role drains all energy. You cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Fail to understand this, and you'll get lost trying to fill gaps that aren't yours. Jung described a redemption complex, a trap where someone feels obliged to save another. It often springs from old personal wounds, trying to heal in others what we couldn't in ourselves. The hero believes his presence can change destinies or rescue lost souls. This fuels illusion and entangles both independence and frustration. While redemption dominates, neither is free to live mature, true love. Imagine a relationship where every plan and emotion revolves around healing the other. He enters with the best intentions. Slowly, his identity is swallowed by the need to be the savior. He gives up dreams, friends, well-being, believing he'll be loved only if he heals her pain. Love stops being partnership and becomes therapy, exhausting and solitary. No one heals. Both leave more wounded than they arrived. At some point, every man with a traumatized partner faces the dilemma: partner or therapist. It's easy to turn the relationship into an emotional clinic, counselor and healer instead of equal. That undermines genuine connection. Intimacy gives way to expectations and the need to save. You stop living as a partner and start carrying responsibilities that aren't yours. Recognizing this limit protects your mental health and preserves any chance at something real. In the end, you cannot rescue someone who doesn't want to change. No amount of effort, time, or energy replaces her own decision to transform. Trying to save someone against their will leads to exhaustion and self-abandonment. The price is steep: your peace, your worth, your hope for healthy love. At some point, men must wake up to this limit. Taking responsibility for who you accept into your life is maturity and courage. Every choice of partner is a choice about your emotional destiny. You can't control anyone's past, but you can decide whether to carry those stories. Denying your power of choice is giving up control over your peace, your limits, your future. There are no victims here. Acceptance is an exercise in self-responsibility. True masculine maturity is discernment, seeing beyond appearances to understand who's at your side. Mature men set healthy boundaries without fear of seeming cold. They protect their peace. Clarity about what's tolerable and what isn't prevents regret. This firmness isn't arrogance. It's self-knowledge and respect. Men who live this way build balanced relationships without losing their essence. Before going deep, ask yourself, what traits from her past still affect the present? Am I willing to live with these scars, or am I romanticizing my tolerance? What are my non-negotiables? And does she respect them? Does this relationship nourish my essence, or pull me away from who I am? Some men, after a clear look at a partner's past, choose not to proceed, and, painful as it is, they preserve their peace. Others face challenges honestly, set boundaries, demand mutual respect, and build something more mature. Some leave intense but risky stories to choose healthier partnerships aligned with their values. These decisions hurt, and then bring relief and growth. Conscious choice doesn't just change a relationship, it transforms your life. When you start to truly choose, everything shifts. The dynamic stops being an automatic reaction to someone else's trauma and becomes a conscious construction. You feel lighter, clearer, more confident, without fear of losing yourself. The roles of victim and savior fade, giving way to partnership and respect. That's when love gains strength, and you realize the power of not settling. It's crucial to distinguish discernment from paranoia. Discernment observes signs and patterns with maturity, without unhealthy distrust. Paranoia hunts for flaws, imagines betrayal where there's only humanity. Maturity is investigating with respect, to understand, not control. Discernment protects your heart, paranoia destroys connection. A practical technique: ask, what from her past actually matters to my life today? Not everything she lived will affect you. What matters are patterns still present that impact daily life. Ask whether those points interfere with your values, well-being, and how you feel around her. If yes, they deserve attention. If not, maybe it's insecurity speaking louder. This self-audit separates signal from noise and makes coexistence lighter. Not every sign is a red flag. Learn the difference between warnings and matured, resolved history. Warnings are patterns that keep repeating: frequent drama, lies, uncontrolled jealousy, lack of accountability. A woman who acknowledges mistakes, speaks openly, and shows change deserves credit. Maturity is when the past is truly behind and no longer dictates the present. Distinguishing the two allows a new story without old ghosts. Talking about the past doesn't need to become a fight if there's respect and curiosity. Ask to understand, not accuse. Listen with empathy, not to score points. Share your boundaries and expectations, showing vulnerability rather than playing detective. Make it clear your goal isn't to control what's gone, but to understand its impact now. Honest dialogue turns the past from a threat into a bridge to trust. Now that you see the impact of the past, what can you do to protect your future? It's time to move from ideas to action. Maturity requires concrete attitudes, clear choices, and steady boundaries. Understanding isn't enough. Apply daily what you've learned about yourself and others. Here's how to turn knowledge into action and build relationships that don't cost your peace. Start by observing more than listening. Actions speak louder than promises. Analyze behavior patterns, not speeches about change. Be clear about your limits and defend them, even when it's uncomfortable. Your peace is your most precious asset. Don't sacrifice it to keep someone who won't respect your values. Practiced consistently, these simple moves keep you from repeating the same mistakes. Do a simple, powerful exercise. Sit down and write what you tolerate and what you don't. List attitudes, values, non-negotiables, everything essential for a healthy relationship. Then don't keep it to yourself. Communicate those points clearly. Being honest about your limits isn't weakness. It prevents burnout and attracts alignment. When you know and communicate what you want, you protect your peace and open space for authenticity. Here's the final challenge. If you ignore her past, you may end up paying with your own story, dreams, and peace. Do differently from those who repeat cycles of pain. Have the courage to see the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Accept that everyone has scars, and that choosing to live with them is your choice. Seeing, accepting, and choosing consciously is how you stop being a victim of your own carelessness. Men who take on this challenge build mature relationships and a life worth telling. If this resonated, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new reflections that challenge you to think differently. Comment below, what sign from the past did you ignore and pay for later? Your story might help another man see what he's overlooking. And hit the bell. Around here, the conversation is direct and without masks. We're in this together.